In a poll, over 90% of professional men admitted that they were spending too much time, energy, and focus within their professional role, within whether they were building their career, whether they were building their business, and it was affecting their relationships with the people that mattered the most, the relationship with themselves, and their own health, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So I'm going to also show you a couple of strategies that we use with our guys, and I use myself of my own experience to master that work-life scenario. So we're going to talk about the regret conundrum in terms of what are we going to regret least when we're making a key decision about whether we're working on our personal life or whether we're focusing on home life. So but before we get into the stuff that's going to help us, let's understand the situation a lot better, because I think this is where it really matters. The root cause of any transformation has to come from the understanding of it. We have to be able to see the problem before we go away and we create the solution. So having worked with thousands of men now, I've been able to have multiple conversations to understand about how much time we spend in that professional pillar, how much time that we're spending in that home pillar. So when we look at it, we can see the size difference visually. We can straight away see, my God, 75% of my time and my energy and focus is in that career bubble, and 25% is at home. And when we break down that home, we break it down into these 5 categories. Probably 8% of that time is with your wife, your partner, about 7% with your kids, 5% with your health, if you're good, 3% personally developing yourself, and 2% on anything that's other, like seeing your mum and dad, seeing your brother and sister, socializing and going out, having a life, having fun. There's 5 key elements to think about when we're thinking about why is this happening. Number 1, there are no barriers in place to make sure that one pillar doesn't get overrun. Lack of awareness. You're so involved in that rat race, you don't realize what's going on. Poor structure, allowing you just to be all over the place and chaotic. Driven, so you are wanting to do well, you're wanting to get the promotion, build your business up, thrive. So that passion takes you away from the home. And then there is the external and internal pressure of making sure that we provide, making sure that we're earning a living, making sure that we're doing what we've got to do to keep the roof over our head. So what are the consequences of us continuing to live the way that we're living in that way? What is eventually going to snap? What's going to eventually make you wake up? And I've been doing this job a long time now. So I've come to realize that many relationships, failed marriages, failed partnerships, feeling a disconnect from their kids comes off the back of this practice, this model happening over a long period of time, because you can only afford to be able to neglect that home life for so long before there's consequences. So in 2015, I remember this one scenario, and I was sitting at my desk and I'd been working constantly, and I lived in a very small 3-bedroom terrace. And in the dining room was my desk, and everything to do with my work was spread out there. It was invading my home life. And I was always working, and my now big 2 kids, when they were back then, were a lot younger, and they wanted me to go to the green to play football. And I kept on saying, I won't be a minute, I've just got to do this. I won't be a minute, I've got to do this. That went on for 4 hours. I fobbed them off for 4 hours. Eventually, I had finished what I was doing. I went to the green. I got my mobile phone out. Somebody said my link wasn't working, and I had to drag them away from the green to take them home to fix it. And I was on my computer for another 4 hours. And it's one of the most painful lessons in life that I've ever come across when it comes to work-life balance. I missed that opportunity. They are now much older in terms of being 16 and 18 and don't need me. And I would have given my right arm to spend the day with them in that green on that day and not have done the 8 hours worth of work that I really could have done another time. So that was just one incident, and there were many other micro incidents like that. And I was trying to build a business off the momentum of almost losing our house because we were so broke. And I didn't know how to stop that momentum and that drive. And my sacrifice was time with those 2 little ones who are now 16 and 18. And I would kill to go back to that stage and build the barriers and the strategies and the discipline to make sure I protected that time with them. But now I have a 2 and a 6-year-old, and the everyday battle to stay in command of my time, energy, and focus is my biggest priority, because they are my biggest priority. making sure I get this balance right between the career drive and between the home life. And I must make sure that the strategies I'm about to show you are enforced to protect that time. So the first thing we've got to understand is visually, what does the work-life balance harmony look like? What does included? What are the things that we need to think about? So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. And I look at it as very much like a time frame. So it's a time frame of how we spend or how we command our time, our energy, and our focus. Now, for me, my breakdown is this timeline. Morning routine is about developing me. It's about developing my health, my mindset. Then there is a period of time in the morning when I'm involved with the family, getting them ready for school. Then there is this period where I will develop my work and my career and my business. Then there is this transitional period where I take work cap off and then put home cap on to leave the armor at the door, so then I can be present within the family in the evening. So there are three common frameworks that I really categorize for both pillars that we're trying to achieve. So within the home realm, we're trying to develop that health. So you are the priority, and this is the thing that you have to understand. If you're going to thrive in your business or your career and in your life, you have to be the priority. So your health, mentally, emotionally, and physically, has to take priority over everything. Success starts at home. You then have to make sure that we nurture those relationships. And I always have this conundrum of, if you had all the money in the world from a successful career, but you lived alone because everybody had left you because you disconnected, would you be happy? Versus losing everything, living in a one-bedroom bedsit with all of the people you love the most. Which one of those two would you take? And I would always go to the one-bedroom bedsit with all of the family in, no matter how cramped. I would have the people that made me the happiest in that room. So it really comes down to understanding what is your core value of happiness. Then the third part is the barriers that we have in place to protect those two. Then in the professional role, I put it down to three things that we're trying to achieve within our business or career. And that's development, growth, and success. Whatever these look like for you. And this is the rocket fuel that takes you away from these things here, because we get wrapped up in that rat race, don't we? So for this video, I'm going to share two different strategies that we have to think about. The first one is going to be about timings and barriers. So timings and barriers about keeping these three frameworks or categories protected. So there's your time, family time, and work time. So I'm going to use the time frame that we used earlier. And you can see that I've laid out these timings. Now for you, it might be slightly different. This is just what I do. And it doesn't matter what your circumstances is, we can still make this work. You just got to know what your timings are. So for me, I get up at 4:15 to 7 to work on me. Okay, that might include work, but it will include stuff that's going to help me mentally, emotionally, and physically be ready for the day. To be the priority, to be the leader, to me, so I can lead everyone else. Then there are these barriers. So I don't go past that. From 7 till 8, phones are off. It's getting the kids to breakfast. It's getting them ready. The wife goes to the gym. That's my time to connect with the kids in the morning and engage. Connection. Barriers. By 9 o'clock till around 4, I work. And within here, there is a whole micro detail of structure, routine, and systems where we manage our time, where we make sure that we achieve all the things that we need to: success, development, and growth. Barriers. We then finish at 4. So for 45 minutes, I spend on me again, going for a walk, decompressing, going to the gym, doing something that allows me to get out of the work mode that we often take into the home life at the end of the day, so that I am free of stress, free intensity, and I've got lots of clarity. Again, there's lots of micro work that happens within this category. And then the barrier is 16:45 to bed is purely family. Phones off, laptops off. Don't think about working to the next day. The whole world's not going to collapse if I'm spending time with my family. And this is the ideal structure, routine, and system where we can command our time, energy, and focus. So the second strategy that we look at, and I could talk about this over a 2-hour masterclass, but just in brief, is looking at like the priorities that we have within each one of these brackets, each one of these frameworks or barriers. We got to understand what is the priorities, okay? And instead of like just working willy-nilly and making a list of 10 to 12 things we've got to do each day, it's like, what moves me forward, okay? What gives you connection to those pillars? So we talked about growth, development, we talked about success, What are the things you need to do within that workspace that gives you all of those things? And really focusing just on 1 or 2 key priorities a day means that you fulfill those priorities. It means that you get them done rather than going home with 8 things that are maybe only a quarter done or half done. It's about what can we move forwards? How can we dissect? And again, that's a whole nother video. So between the time barriers and the priorities, we are able to build a time structure, a life balance, a work-life balance that we can build on. And this is not something we can just do straight away. It's something that takes work. Ultimately, success starts at home. There are going to be those times when we have to throw ourselves into our career or our business to get the deal done, to get the project over the line. But that's where we just communicate to everybody at home. The next couple of weeks are going to be full on. I just need to appreciate that. And I'm going to do my best, okay, in and around that period of time. But then you must give your time and energy back to the family once that's done. It's balance, it's awareness, it's understanding. And this whole system, this whole way of living takes time to build. We've got to condition ourselves. We've got to be disciplined. We've got to be aware. We've got to do reflections. Ultimately, you've got to think about in the next 5-10 years, when your kids are all grown up, are you going to regret that you didn't spend enough time with them? Or are you going to regret that you didn't work more? This video right here talks about success starting at home. And when it starts at home, it then flows into your professional life, and your professional life thrives off the back of you having that success from the home life, from HQ. I hope that it gives you a sense of direction, a sense of awareness, a sense of what is possible when you start implementing structure, routine, some systems, some discipline, so that you can get that work-life balance harmony in a much better place.